All right, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday with the veterans, Cami and Greg Goucher from the lovely, sunny, beautiful, attractive state of Ohio. Welcome back, guys.
That's right. Thanks, Chris.
There is the sun today.
I should mention, just for context for these guys, that Greg and Cami also head up the coaching department. It's kind of a big deal because they get to not only see everything that's going on within the coaching community, but all students. And so their benefit of hindsight now for them is huge. The skill sets increase rapidly because they get to see and touch all that. So it's just for the viewers to understand you'd be in great hands if you decide to enter their Wicked Smart community. All right, guys, what type of deal is this?
Yeah, this is a subject 2.
Sub 2. Okay, I promise you, viewers, this will spark questions. So what I encourage you to do is send them to support. And you can mention myself and Kim and Greg were on it, and that way I have some kind of a reference. Because if you say the deal that you guys talked about, blah, 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 I'm not going to know. But if you say the three of you talked about a sub 2 deal, I'm happy to help you with your questions. Okay, the source?
Yeah, the source was an expired.
Expired. Now, here's what's interesting. The market's hot. So people say, they'll come up with any excuse. They don't even know consciously they're doing it. And I'm talking to all the viewers, and we do it ourselves too. So I'm not pointing arrows. Shooting arrows. But Cami and Greg, in a hot market, the last 2 deals I talked to you about were expired listings. How did this one come?
Yeah. So, this one was done by our VAs, and it's amazing to say that. Actually, this particular home is in our town, and
it sells like hotcakes here.
We always hear that, it sells like hotcakes, and we picked it up here in our local town. And so that was the really cool part about it.
Well, and we'll talk about it in the deal structure over time because there's nuances behind the scene that like a conventional buyer and a conventional realtor and other people don't know that's going on in the seller's head. They just don't want to come forward for a myriad of reasons. Okay, So there's no term on a sub 2. We own the home. Important for the viewers to know. We own the home. This gives us so many options that you're going to hear us talk about. What is the underlying debt?
Yeah, the underlying debt is $315,054.
$315,054. We're not giving them any money on top of it?
We actually agreed because he only had about $4,000 equity, and to help him move, we agreed to pay him $4,000, and we're locked in the deal.
$4,000. Did you pay him up front?
We did.
When we got a buyer.
Yes, when we got a buyer.
Okay, really cool. So a sub 2 isn't always contingent upon a buyer because sometimes they're not. Or you made it contingent upon a buyer, got the buyer, and helped them with some moving money.
Right.
Correct. You got it.
Sweet. So we're in at $319 plus closing costs. I get it, but we're in at $319 for a sales price.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Love it. And we turn around and sold it for how much?
$349,900.
$349,900. Now I'm gonna, I guess, tease this out a little bit with the viewers. $349,900 is a rent to own. You're gonna hear how we're gonna pivot this down the road to a much more profitable deal, even though it's a great deal. Okay, deposit from the buyer.
$34,900.
So a full 10%. What's the schedule, up front or over time?
It's half now at the signing, and then half in a year.
Half now, half in 12 months.
Uh-huh.
Did we also get first month's rent by not having to take over, or did he need an immediate payment?
No, we got first month's rent.
You did on a sub 2. That's awesome.
Yep.
We did. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna add that up here when we get it. Great. What's the monthly payment on this $315,000?
Yeah, monthly payment is $1,820.
$1,820.
Includes insurance and taxes.
PITI or no?
Yes, PIT.
Everything.
You got it.
Okay. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, if that's a new term for you guys watching. Payment from the buyer?
$24,22.
Man, you guys are getting your payday 2s higher and higher, aren't you?
We are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome. What's that spread?
602.
602. So let me just say why I said that, guys, or explain why I said that. Back in the day, our paydays were lower, theirs were lower. Like you learn, you live and learn, you tweak. And to bring your average monthly paydays from just say 300 to 600 per property, you just gave yourself a raise. You did no extra work. And all that is you getting good at, like Greg and Cami have, on how to do that and how to positively extract that from your buyer meetings And I say positively because usually the way we do it, we're setting the buyer up to win too. What's that? Well, I should say, what kind of term are we talking about?
So since it's a sub 2, we're just going to base it off because we're right now doing rents. Basically, the buyer is paying rent for the next 13 months, and that comes out to a monthly cash flow of $78.26.
78.26.
Yep. So a little nuance that will be extending the term, but that's where we're at right now.
So
Okay.
right now we have a 12-month term, not 13-month term.
Okay, so what we could do is we could say that's about a yearly payday 2 yearly amount of about $7 or $8 grand.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to come back to what we mean by, and what you guys just meant, I'll have you explain it, what you mean by you're going to reevaluate after 13 months is super important because this is one of my favorite strategies with a sub 2. So understand again for the viewers, this is only based on 12 or 13 months. That's all we're basing this on. Okay, let's go to price premium. 30?
Yeah.
30. The price was 30.
No, 30,846 is the price.
Yeah, 846. At 846.
846. Picky. All right. So the principal pay down, I'm curious, on this 1820 is how much?
Yeah, principal pay down is $575 a month.
Another great one. So only 13 months. Well, let's figure about how much?
$74.75.
Okay. Minus, well, we got to add this 2422 up here, but it's not coming off the deposit because this 2422 was just cash to Cami and Greg. What's being minus off the deposit is the 34.9.
Correct.
So payday 2 up here is like 36, 37 and change. I mean, payday 1, sorry guys, 37ish.
Yeah. Correct.
37K. Okay. Payday 2, I'm not going to call it payday 2 at 78 yet, and they're going to learn why. What's the cash out payment if we stop this thing at 13 months?
Yeah, about almost 49 grand. Or on payday 3, I'm sorry, $4,300 on that one.
4,300 because we're doing a short term in this conversation.
Correct.
4,300.
Correct.
Okay. We're not even going to count the paydays up yet, and we're going to explain why. So, Cami and Greg, explain what you meant by after 13 months, what you're planning on doing. And we won't do all the math, but I can easily multiply the payday 2, and we can easily figure out the bottom one by multiplying years. So just explain for the viewers.
Yes, so if this buyer makes all of his payments on time and all of his scheduled down payment ones on time, which he only has 2 that are scheduled, we will switch to an owner financing deal for the remaining principal balance of the amount of the property. We have discussed already 10 to 15 years. The buyer is open to that. And so that's kind of, that's where we're heading with this after this first year.
And it sits well with him too, with the buyer, because he's actually self-employed as a truck driver and independent contractor, and he
wants to stay out of it.
He wants to stay out of the bank.
I love it. So, for the viewers, a little context: when you sit down with a tenant buyer at the first meeting, and then you tell them they're accepted, and then you say, "Oh, by the way, if you're current on your payments, and if you can get that down payment maybe up a little further if they decide to do this, Greg and Cami, then you don't have to ever go to a bank. You don't have to ever go through underwriting. You don't ever have to go through that microscope that you have to go through. And look, I'm in the business. It's not a fun process to go through. And you don't have to pay all their fees, because on a loan of, say, 300 grand, depending on what program they go with, I get that they're a cheaper program, but they're going to pay anywhere between $3,000 and $24,000 in fees. Gone. Whether they amortize it or not, that's money that's just crazy spent. So did you guys figure out, I mean, they could technically own a finance with you and 3 years later or 10 years later refi it, but if it goes 10 years, did you do any math, or 9 more years or whatever?
Yeah, we did. Just kind of some quick math. I don't remember the exact payday 2 and 3 numbers, but over 10 years, the total payout of all 3 paydays would have been close to $176,000.
170?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can see that, because if you just times this by 10, you got 70. You're already at 100.
Yes, correct.
I think
probably
it's closer to 200,000.
What was that, Cami?
I think it's closer to 200,000.
I think 170 is conservative, but that's okay. I don't like to overemphasize anyway, from the viewers know that. So great. I think it's a 200 grand deal. I think by the time you're done being the bank, in addition to doing rent to own, now you're the bank. There's all kinds of little spreads and margins within the interest rate even that we're not figuring. This could go, because they could go longer than 10 years, right? This could go 15.
Oh, yeah.
So this could be a $250,000 deal. I want you, the viewers, to think about this for a second. This house, how much money did you put down besides the 4 came from the buyer anyway, but did you put any money down in this?
No.
No,
Okay, I didn't think so. Did you pay transfer tax?
no.
Not yet. No.
Okay,
Nope.
so, all right, so this is very expensive to get in. No. And it's maybe $250,000 coming out the back end. If this buyer, for some reason, has a different goal and they cash them out in 13 months, will Greg and Cami cry? I hope not. Because it's still 40-something grand.
Well, it's still good money. Yeah.
It's still 40 or 50 grand, and some of you viewers don't make that in a year. So what if, and I don't mean that derogatory at all, what I'm trying to do is open your eyes to, if you just go do a few of these, you don't have to go do 20, go do 1, 2, or 3 of these next year. It's a game changer for you, I promise you that. Okay, let's go ahead and fire up the next deal structure overtime. For those of you that might be new to the channel, we're going to dive into a little bit of the behind the scenes, like what else went on with this deal for a couple minutes on the deal structure overtime. We'll see you there.